the bad. Any that are moldy, had clear evidence of being nibbled on, or were covered with dark spots can go into the chicken food or the compost bucket, and all the tan, waxy, nice nut meats can either be dried for later processing or moved on to the next stage. If you find that a lot of your fresh red oak acorns look good but just aren't coming out of their shells, save yourself some frustration and dry them longer. Prying red oak nut meats out of the shell is incredibly frustrating, but they'll simply drop out of the shells if they're completely dry. Now, while sorting, you'll find lots of testas. This is the dark brown, papery coating over the nut. Some resources say that you have to remove every trace of the testa to have tasty flour, but I found that it really doesn't make a difference. Now, that pile of cleaned nut meats should be dried until they're rock hard and moved on to the next stage of processing. They can be stored for a long time. During years with a very heavy acorn crop, you can actually stock up on nuts to give you a cushion for when there's a poor crop next season. So at this point, either put your nuts into secure storage or move them on to the next step, leaching. Leaching is the process of using water to remove the bitter, water-soluble tannins from the nuts and make them palatable. It is possible to eat a single acorn raw with no ill effect, but I don't know if you'd want to repeat that bitter experience. There are 3 types of leaching: cold leaching, chemical leaching, and hot leaching. I'll only be detailing hot leaching here, as it's the most beginner-friendly and yields results quickly and satisfyingly. Now, hot leaching acorns is simple. Put the acorns in a pan of water, heat it to boiling, drain off the dark brown water, and repeat until a sampled nut no longer tastes bitter. You can do this on a conventional stovetop during a rainy weekend, but it's a lot easier and uses a lot less energy if it's done on a wood stove. The various species of acorns take anywhere from 3 to 10 water changes to have a sufficient amount of tannin removed. You'll have to judge for yourself when they're ready. When they are, they taste sweet, somewhat maple-like, and not at all bitter. Then you can consider them done. Some resources say that you need to wait until the water runs clear, but it's not necessary. Taste is more important than looks. Now that your acorns are leached, it's time to turn them into flour. You are almost there, hungry forager. My method is to run the damp, leached acorn meat through an old-fashioned hand crank meat grinder. They're really easy to find in an antique market or at a thrift store. The one pictured here was only $4. So spread the damp nut meal back on a cookie sheet after it's being ground and allow it to dry completely. If you have that wood stove, place it at the base and stir it occasionally until it's bone dry. This will take 2 days or so. You can also do this in a dehydrator or in a conventional oven at 170 degrees Fahrenheit until, again, it's bone dry. Just whatever you do, don't rush it. If you store this flour even slightly wet, it may mold, and then all this hard work will end up in the compost pile. The end result should be a very coarse, dark brown flour. It can be used as is or be run through a flour mill or a coffee grinder to produce even finer flour for baking. Either way, you can now store it in an airtight container and use it at your leisure. You can think of hot leached acorn flour in a vaguely similar way to cornmeal. With no gluten to hold it together, it won't form a springy, bread-like dough on its own. But don't let that stop you from experimenting with eggs, mixing it with wheat flour or some other starch, and just seeing what can be done to let it shine as an ingredient in its own right, rather than just an inclusion. Taste-wise, acorn flour is nutty, earthy, sweet, and somewhat reminiscent of maple or molasses. The hot leach method results in a very dark brown flour that will give a pumpernickel-like color to whatever you mix it in with. So with all those factors in mind, let me share some ideas on how to make it into delicious food. Acorn bread. The rich, dark color and flavor of acorns are excellent in all types of bread, from sourdough bowls to ginger snap flavored dessert breads. You'll have to include some other flours to get the dough to be workable, but I heartily recommend you at least add a cup of fine ground acorn flour to your favorite recipe and see what happens. Acorn porridge. I think porridge deserves much more time in the limelight as a delicious breakfast option. Simmer a cup of coarse acorn flour in 2 cups of water, or make a 50-50 mix with coarse ground wheat or other grains for a nourishing start to the day. Add a pinch of salt, a handful of raisins, or a knob of butter, and you'll make it something really special. Acorn pancakes. Served with a side of wild berries and a drizzle of home-tapped maple syrup, you can prove to both yourself and your breakfast guests that wild food is the best food in the world. You can also try acorn coffee. Roasted until fragrant and simmered for 15 minutes, coarse ground acorn flour can be brewed into a rich, coffee-ish drink that is comforting on its own and delectable with some sweetened spice notes. And all this is just a tiny sampling of all the possibilities that await the home cook with a jar full of acorn flour. I want to offer one more suggestion for the homesteader looking to utilize wild food to its full potential. Acorns can be a great feed supplement to many of our animals. My ducks, my chickens, and goats have all relished eating acorns and acorn grubs in the fall. The ducks and the goats can handle them raw and unshelled as they fall from the tree, but my chickens have needed them smashed before they can get the nutmeats out. I have no experience with feeding them to other livestock, so my knowledge is limited to the effects on cows, sheep, or horses, although I have heard about pigs really enjoying acorns too. All the same, acorns offer another self-sufficient option to the homesteader looking to provide for their animals' needs directly from their own land, rather than being entirely dependent on the feed store. Now, for resources and further reading, I have to recommend the best foraging books in the world. If you're interested in the best foraging books in the world, you need to check out the work of Samuel Thayer. His book, Nature's Garden, has the most thorough, useful, and insightful write-up on acorn foraging that I've found anywhere, and he's got far more information and recipes than what I've presented here. Hank Shaw is another name for those interested in foraging. His recipes using acorns are positively amazing looking. Another place worth investigating is this excellent post by another homesteader also turning acorns into a diet staple for her own family. Practical Self-Reliance is full of excellent ideas, including her attempts with acorn pasta and acorn cheese. And then, for those foragers out there closer to the foodie side of the spectrum, Pascal Baudard is your man. He has been transforming wild foods into super fancy Epicurean delights with a fervor that needs to be seen to be believed. Some of his creations may be a little bit more complicated than is practical for everyday fare, but if you're looking for inspiration, he is a great source of it. This fall, I hope you take the chance to forage, process, and truly enjoy this amazing free ingredient. And if you come up with some own recipes or find a good one online, please don't hesitate to share it.
They have lost their wild. I will guide them.
Has been slain.
All will crumble.
Enemy has been slain.
Many have tried to end me. I will roar the world into stillness. So must it be. Whose heart calls the storm? Raise your idols, huddle beneath your stone trees. Today, I tear them all down. I am Baldir of the First Thunder, destroyer of the White Mountain, carver of the five fjords. I taste iron on the wind. Blood. to death, far greater than your life. All will crumble. I am the storm. Once, history was written by creations of mortals fail. The wild remains. Whose heart calls the storm?
Enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Double kill. Enemy killing spree.
All will crumble when the night is cruel and dark.
Team has destroyed.
Storm unleashed. Wasteland consume you. I feast on your heart. All will crumble. The soil hungers for blood. Ground is sown in blood.
Been slain. Shine bright.
Feel no pain. Charge!
An enemy has been slain.
A god cannot die.
Ionia still stands! Spirit!
Ally has been slain.
Let the land thunder with my storm.
You have slain an enemy.
So must it be.
An enemy has been slain.
Let the storm follow in my wake. This place has been tamed. I will